If you are considering a move to Pittsburgh and you are unfamiliar with the neighborhoods, the schools, the amenities, and all the things that Pittsburgh has to offer, then this video is for you. Pittsburgh is an amazing place to live, and except for college and a few years of teaching in Texas, I have lived here my entire life. In this video, I'm going to share 8 things that might surprise you about living in Pittsburgh. Most of these are fairly lighthearted and just some of the quirks and oddities of living in the Pittsburgh region. And if you are thinking about a move to the Pittsburgh area, do not miss number 8. This is actually a very serious one, and you need to know all about this one tip to see if Pittsburgh is the right place for you. If you are new here, my name is Mark McClinchie, and this is my YouTube channel, Mark Knows Pittsburgh. I make content for people that are moving to the Pittsburgh area from out of state, and these videos talk about the neighborhoods, the schools, and what it's like to live in the Pittsburgh region. I have helped hundreds of families make the transition successfully to the Pittsburgh region. So if you are thinking about a move, please get in touch with me. So let's jump right into our list of 8 things to make sure that you know about these things before you get here so you don't embarrass yourself and you kind of have that insider information. Let's get started. All right, so let's jump into number 1, and that of course is the Pittsburgh left. If you are coming to Pittsburgh and you are driving a car, you better understand how the Pittsburgh left works. Come to a stoplight and you have oncoming traffic that is also stopped at that stoplight, and you want to go left and they're going to go straight. The rules of the road state that you cannot cut in front of them. However, it's a courtesy in Pittsburgh and it's etiquette that you actually do cut in front of them. So if you are taking a left, the driver in oncoming traffic is going to expect you to cut him off. If they get mad if you do cut them off, and they're probably not from here. And don't forget, if you are the driver and you're at a stoplight and you see somebody with a left turn signal on the opposing side, give them a little wave, make some eye contact, let them cut in front of you. So that's the Pittsburgh left. It's not always used anymore. It's definitely an old school Pittsburgh thing, but you will see it. So don't be surprised if you see the Pittsburgh left driving around the Pittsburgh area. Number 2 on my list is the Pittsburgh parking chair. So if you're in an area where there's on-street parking, you might come across a chair in the middle of the parking lane, and that is somebody saving their spot, particularly in the winter months when people spend a lot of time clearing out the snow. People get very possessive about the spot that they use. Maybe it's right in front of their house and they don't want to lose the spot if they take their car away. So in order to save their spot, they put a chair there. So the Pittsburgh parking chair, should you mess with somebody's chair, you'll get in a lot of trouble. So again, part of my advice here is to save you from embarrassment and make sure you can fit in the Pittsburgh area. All right, number 3 is getting used to the Fort Pitt Bridge. So when you are heading outbound from downtown, before you go through the Fort Pitt Tunnel, you have to go on the Fort Pitt Bridge, which is the lower deck as it heads into the tunnel. This is kind of a crazy roadway. You've got lots of lanes coming from different places. So as you get onto the Fort Pitt Bridge outbound, you've got 3 different places, 2 lanes and another lane and another place with 2 lanes. So you've got 5 lanes merging into 4, and then you've got a ramp going off to the right to the west end, and then you've got the left 2 lanes going through the Fort Pitt Tunnel. So when traffic is extremely slow, it's not too bad to kind of nudge your way through there, and you've got this crossfire going on with all the lanes. And if it's fast, if actually there's no traffic, it's actually a lot more dangerous, and there's a lot of accidents on the Fort Pitt Bridge due to people not knowing where they're going, and you've got to look left and right. It can be a difficult merge. So watch the Fort Pitt Bridge outbound, and of course be careful with the Fort Pitt Bridge inbound as well. So you may have seen beautiful pictures of people coming through the Fort Pitt Tunnel inbound, and then when they get to the other side, you got this beautiful postcard look at downtown skyline, and it's a great view, but don't get your eyes set on that too much, because now you've got the gauntlet that you have to run depending on which direction you're going. Once you get through the tunnel, you've got to get on the Fort Pitt Bridge, and you might have to cross over 4 lanes if you're going north. If you're going east, it's pretty easy. You just kind of stay in that same lane. But if you're going downtown, it does involve looking around a lot. You got a lot of different cars coming from different directions, merging in different places. So be careful on the Fort Pitt Bridge inbound toward downtown. Number 4 on the list is how everybody is so loyal to the neighborhood and community they grew up in. In fact, so many people continue to live in that same community. They never move. Maybe they leave for college or when they're younger, but oftentimes people return, they boomerang back. That's a lot of my clients as well. People that maybe lived here at one point or had family here, but now they want to come back. So it's actually quite charming how loyal people are to their neighborhood, and they just love it. They have such history there. And you would think because people are so invested in their community that maybe it's tough as an outsider, but that's the great thing about Pittsburgh is people are so friendly and welcoming that I think you get a nice welcome from people allowing you to live in their community and they accept you as one of their own. So number 5 on my list probably isn't new information, but Pittsburgh is absolutely obsessed with their sports teams. Our 3 professional sports teams, 4 if you count the Riverhounds, all black and gold, the only city to have all their professional sports teams with the same color. So people in the Pittsburgh area definitely bleed black and gold. They are super loyal. And as an outsider, if you come here and you love your Baltimore Ravens or you love your Cleveland Browns, I would strongly suggest that maybe you kind of just keep that under wraps because that probably won't go over super well in the Pittsburgh area. So think about that. And it's not just professional sports. I think this is just a sports town. Pittsburghers love college sports. University of Pittsburgh, Pitt football, Pitt basketball, Pitt volleyball, all super popular. High school sports are obviously really important too. I've mentioned in many of my videos how neighborhood oriented we are and how we have such small communities. We have 43 school districts in Allegheny County alone. That's a lot of high schools with sports programs, and the communities come out in large numbers to support their local high school teams. So Pittsburgh is definitely a sports oriented place. And number 6 on my list is one of my favorites, local Pittsburgh restaurants that are iconic. In fact, if you would make a Mount Rushmore of Pittsburgh restaurants, these are probably some of the ones that would be on there. You would definitely have Primanti's, you would have Pamela's, probably need to put Eaton Park up there, and you probably need to put a pizza place, but it's gonna be a fight between Aiello's and Minio's and Squirrel Hill, and probably Fiore's as well. So all of these places I just mentioned have a huge loyal following, and I strongly suggest you check those places out. But if they're not your thing, if you're not a big fan of fries and coleslaw on your Primanti sandwich, or you're not into the amazing pancakes at Pamela's, if some of these places are not your cup of tea, I would definitely be quiet about it, because Pittsburghers, like I said, are super loyal. They love what they love. And if you're an outsider and you criticize that maybe these places do not have the best food or the best experience, again, just keep that to yourself maybe, or give it some time and keep on trying, because to be a true Pittsburgher, you probably need to be loyal to those places. Number 7, if you need to get somewhere and you ask a local for directions, you're probably not going to get a lot of street names in those directions. You're going to get things like, yeah, go down there and take a left where the old Hills was. And if you get to where the old Pizza Hut was, you've gone too far. So you get a lot of directions with landmarks, but most of those landmarks aren't even there anymore. So that's one that I think is kind of funny. Another one, which is kind of interesting, I get a lot of questions about this from my clients when they visit. When you're driving around Pittsburgh, you're going to see a lot of signs on the side of the road that have a color and it says belt. So you'll see yellow belt, red belt, green belt, orange belt. And so believe it or not, Pittsburgh area does have a belt system that really is completely outdated. I think designed back in the 1940s or 50s. And it was to ease congestion rather than go through the regular routes and arteries to get downtown, which are typically, north and south, east and west, and sort of hub and spoke system. These roadways they took existing roadways and made a belt system, kind of concentric circles. The outer belts don't actually make a full circle. But if you're looking to be a tourist in the Pittsburgh area, take one of those belts and go along there, and you'll find lots of different things to do along those belts. There's a lot of cool TV shows that have featured the belt system. So that's another way people give directions. They will tell you, oh, go down, Route 8, and as soon as you get to the yellow belt, take a left, follow the yellow belt for, 5 miles. So you'll hear the belt system referenced, even though people don't actually use them as an entire belt. It's just not super efficient. And my last little tip on driving directions, if you're going to Kennywood, you don't actually need directions. You just follow those yellow signs. So those are dotted throughout Pittsburgh. Follow the yellow Kennywood signs to get there. All right, so you have made it to number 8. This is definitely a very serious one, the housing inventory and what's available. I always like to tout how affordable the homes are in the Pittsburgh area, and that is very true. However, the flip side of that coin is that the houses in the Pittsburgh area are very old. We do not have a ton of inventory that is brand new. I mean, we have some limited new construction, but most of that is pretty far out. And there's certainly been some developments that I have featured on this channel that have been built in the last 10, 20, 30 years. But the majority of houses available for sale are going to be quite old. Here I am walking in Mount Lebanon. Most of the homes here were built in the 20s and 30s, some in the 40s and 50s, but generally the big building boom was in the 20s and 30s in Mount Lebanon. And so any home built before 1978, I operate under the assumption that somewhere down several layers of paint is probably lead paint. If that scares you, then that's something to be aware of. Also, you're gonna have a lot of maintenance issues, obviously, with these older homes. So when you get an inspection report, don't freak out because it's gonna be quite lengthy and you're gonna get details about the electrical systems and plumbing systems, the heating and cooling and the roof, and all these areas that haven't been updated in a long time, or they've been kind of tinkered with over the years and kind of put together all different kinds of ways. There will probably be lots of maintenance issues that you need to be aware of. And of course, those maintenance issues aren't cheap. And so owning a home, while the price tag up front might look affordable, the ownership costs can get expensive, which is always why you do an inspection and make sure you negotiate those things in advance of closing on the house to defray some of those costs later. Or if the issues are so bad, then definitely it might be a property that you want to walk away from. Other things that come with old homes is just wet basements. The topography of Pittsburgh is such that we get a lot of rainwater and a lot of groundwater that it slopes toward, downhill. And so very few homes are built on crowned lots or even flat lots. Most of them are on a hill, like the ones over there. So a lot of those backyards are bringing water right toward that back wall. So if I'm touring those homes, I'm going into the basement and making sure I show my clients the back wall to see what kind of pressure it has. I am not a home inspector. I don't ever pretend to be, but I can see some red flags, look at that back wall and kind of see if there's water issues or maybe there's foundation issues. So be prepared in the Pittsburgh area, and the corrections to those wet basement foundation issues aren't cheap, but they can be remediated. You can do French drains, and you can get wall anchors. And I know some great companies that do outstanding work with lifetime warranties that are transferable. So it's not the end of the world, but if that scares you, that's something to be aware of with the Pittsburgh market. One final point about homes in the Pittsburgh area is many homes have elevated levels of radon. When you get a home inspection, you're gonna measure, they use a 48-hour test to look at the radon levels in the basement area that seep through the ground. And if you have elevated levels, you're gonna wanna negotiate with the seller to get a radon mitigation system. So, in the Pittsburgh area, a third of the homes probably already have a radon mitigation system, and then a third of them need it because they have elevated levels, and maybe a third test just fine. And it's not unique to a neighborhood, it's just how the radon in Western Pennsylvania is kind of heavier for some houses and they're more passive than others. But those are all the issues that come with owning an old home in the Pittsburgh area. So if you can handle that, then you should definitely come to Pittsburgh. Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate your time. Please reach out if you have any questions. There is a relocation guide in the comments where you can click a link, grab that relocation guide so you can start exploring the neighborhoods in the communities that make up the Pittsburgh region. If you are moving in the short term, maybe you're thinking about a move in the next 6 to 8 months, please reach out directly. You can definitely download the Relo guide, but get in touch with me. Now's a great time to start exploring those neighborhoods, figuring out what the right fit is. We'll set up a free consultation for you and set up a roadmap so that you can make your move as seamless as possible to the Pittsburgh area. Thanks for watching and welcome to Pittsburgh.